Am I getting a ride from you? I figure the only reason you're here is that Paige doesn't need help over at Billy's. Oh.
Welcome back here courtside at the Salem Civic Center for Hoopsville Courtside, our final show of the night. And the final show of the night here at the Civic Center was a great one, 90-78 in overtime. Nebraska Wesleyan advances to the national title game for the first time since 1997. They will face the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh for the 2018 national title here at the Civic Center tomorrow evening. I'm Pat Coleman for Hoopsville Courtside. I'm joined by Pat Cunningham, the head coach of Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas, and a frequent guest on Hoopsville Courtside and Hoopsville and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Dave McHugh will be here, I'm sure, soon. They're doing some post-game recording and stuff like that for NCAA.com. But, we have production help, and our producer, Keaton Coleman, is doing a great job making sure that we're on the air, which is important. Pat, what a fantastic game. The last minute or so, last couple of minutes, obviously it gets out of hand, but Springfield, a great battle and a great back-and-forth battle, especially in the second half and the latter half of the first half.
Yeah, Pat, I thought it was a really good basketball game. Springfield shot the ball well enough to stay in the game early, and then in the second half, I thought they shot a little bit better from the perimeter, and it was just a great back-and-forth game. Springfield, as you said, the score does not indicate the closeness of the game. But again, I thought that Nebraska Wesleyan did a really good job. Their zone is really hard to penetrate, and they kept Springfield on the perimeter.
Nebraska Wesleyan also did a fantastic job taking care of the basketball. Now, that is not unusual for them. 7 turnovers in the game, just 3 of them in the final 25 minutes after halftime. Springfield, though, 4 turnovers in the first half and then 12 in the second half and overtime. And so even though Nebraska Wesleyan didn't shoot super well in the second half either, that helped them stay in the game.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, I think that the one thing they do is they have really good length, and so a lot of those turnovers were just deflections where they got their hands on the ball and came up with loose balls, and then there was a couple of a carry and a travel from Springfield's standpoint, and they're really good. The first half and second half, they're really good as they're penetrating. They get their hands on a lot of balls. So I mean, I think at least half of those turnovers were obviously deflections or tips that they got on either passes or penetration.
I am always hesitant to ask a coach about officiating, but there's a call down here in this end, and I gesture to the basket behind me because I'm sure you watched it on NCAA.com, as you should have. That was a great game. But Nate Garber goes up. First of all, he gets the ball. He comes down. He pump fakes. He pump fakes again, and it basically goes up with the opportunity and the hope of making the maximum amount of contact possible against the Springfield player. And really, even the maximum amount of contact was almost nothing. If you remember, this was he then hit the free throw. It was a 3-point play to tie the game. I just felt like that was an unfortunate kind of note in the final minute of regulation there.
Yeah, I think in any game, it was a hard game to officiate. I think that there's a lot of calls back and forth. Obviously, there's some free throws that Springfield missed that they would love to have said, hey, if we make those, the game doesn't come down to the last seconds. I think the call in question, I was at the other end of the court, unfortunately, but again, that's a tough call to make unless there's a lot of contact with 35 seconds to go. He did try to get them in the air. I could not see how much contact there was, but obviously, there's a number of calls that could have gone either way.
And then in the overtime, there's a spot where Hiller steps out and makes a 3, or even before that, Cook comes out and makes a late three off of a miss and an offensive rebound. Just calmly drains the three from here in the corner. The big three from Hiller, and Nebraska Wesleyan just shot the lights out in overtime.
They did. I mean, they just it was close for the first minute and a half, I think, of the overtime, and then as you said, they just made some big shots. They were calm. They got themselves open from the offense, and once they got the game to about 6 or 7 points on Springfield, then it became really hard for them to come back on it. But they did shoot the ball. I mean, they scored 17 points in 5 minutes, right. and that was a lot against that defense of Springfield. I thought Springfield did a really good job of containing the pace, creating the pace,
right.
and making it the kind of game they wanted to make, and then make Nebraska Wesleyan play at that pace. And again, in overtime, it kind of got away from them a little bit.
And I didn't even really sense that they ran out of gas necessarily, Springfield. I did think that maybe saying that they lost their composure is too strong. It's just, what would be the half measure phrase of that, right?
I think what happened is that, again, it was a combination of things. I think that what really happened, as you said, Pat, is that Springfield missed a couple of shots. They had a baseline jumper by their big kid, Eccles. Eccles. Yeah, he had that lefty on the baseline, and it was about a 7 or 5 point game, 6 point game at that time, with about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes to go. And if it goes in, boy, oh boy, it's still right there. Then they come down and hit a three, I believe, and then coming down to the other end, I think there was a turnover. So I don't think it was composure, and I agree with you totally. I don't think it was they ran out of gas. I think there was just a couple of plays there in that minute 10 and they come down and hit another three, and then all of a sudden now you're in trouble. And I thought, that they had two shots where if they can make it, I think, I don't remember who had the shots. I think it was Earl had one, I think, there with that if they hit one of those shots, maybe it gets back interesting. Yeah,
right.
But
we're not going to run down the full final stats. You can find those online. You can find those on the live stats at ncaa.com. I will point out that Cooper Cook led the way with 25 points for Nebraska Wesleyan, and Ryan Garver added 21, including 2 of 3 free throws in a crucial stretch at the end of regulation where the first one, God, he left that about 8 inches short, it looked like. And it's like, he had been fouled out on the perimeter. They needed those shots so desperately in order to get back in the game. And after that first one, I thought, oh my goodness, he's not gonna
come close.
He's not gonna do it. On the other side, Jake Ross with 21, although I guess a little quiet down the stretch, right? His shots didn't fall in overtime.
Yeah, he couldn't get much penetration on him, and again, it was unfortunate that last 30 seconds they didn't get a good shot off.
Right.
But again, I think it was more Nebraska Wesleyan's defense than anything that Jake did. But he's, as you well know, he's an awfully good player and had played an awfully good game for them.
Pat, we talked about this in our live dress rehearsal for this show, the 3 minutes pre-take of this show that didn't quite get on the air. But you coached against those guys this year, right? You played Trinity played Springfield down at your place in December. And obviously Jake Ross is a guy that we've known about for quite a while. He was the National Rookie of the Year last year for us. But from then, when you saw him at the end of December to now, how did you think he improved? How did you think his game changed?
Well, it's interesting, Pat, because he didn't play real well in Texas. He didn't play poorly, but he just didn't shoot the ball extremely well in the 2 games down there. But his game, I think, is really, really refined. I mean, he just has a great motor. He has a great presence about him. He doesn't overdo things. I mean, he's really, really quick with the ball when he gets the rebound and gets out and goes. And I thought, I think he's kept improving, absolutely. He does a lot for that team. But I thought as a team, they just got a lot better than from December to March. They just got a lot better as a team. They've had some injuries, but they've had some guys step up and pick up on their roles and really do what they need to do to win basketball games. And they've had just a great run. And, Charlie Brock has been coaching a long time. He coached at my school before I got there, and he's on the NBC board with me, so we're really good friends. And I'm so proud of his team and him and how they improved and how they got here. Winning a lot of close games, and obviously they have nothing to be ashamed of at all. They should be proud of the season they had and even how it finished. So.
Pat Coleman for D3Hoops.com, chatting with Pat Cunningham, head coach of Trinity University in Texas, here after the second semifinal in which Nebraska Wesleyan defeated Springfield by the score of 90-78 in overtime. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we've got a national championship game set up at 6 p.m. Eastern time here between Nebraska Wesleyan and University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, which defeated Ramapo 73-57 in game one. Pat, anytime when I see somebody play Nebraska Wesleyan, my first thought is, what's the pace of the game going to be like? What is the other team going to want to run with them, and what's your thoughts on maybe that for tomorrow?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think, I've seen Nebraska Wesleyan on tape and on live during the tournament, and it's interesting because they play that zone, so it's not like they're up and down. I know earlier in the year they were pressing and doing those things. They're not doing as much of that now, but they like to go with it. They like to shoot the ball quickly if they get open, and their offense is such that they can get some open shots. I think Wisconsin Oshkosh, much like Springfield, is going to want a pace that kind of slows it down a little bit and takes away some of those possessions, but they'll also run. I mean, Springfield wasn't holding the ball by any means. They were going and getting it. So I think it'll be a good matchup. It'll be interesting to see how the pace is. The quicker it is, I think that affects or helps Nebraska Wesleyan. And then again, it'll be interesting to see how Wisconsin Oshkosh is able to penetrate that zone and get open looks, or if they're going to have to take 41 threes as Springfield did, trying to win that game tomorrow.
Well, and Oshkosh not afraid to do that. Of course, they shot 27 here tonight. Oshkosh won the rounds of 16 and the rounds of 8 with tremendous three-point performances from Charlie Noon and from Ben Boots, but they won it in a different way tonight. First off, Adam Fravert with a really impressive performance as a sophomore for the Titans, and then down the stretch, Brett Whitchow with a couple of key threes en route to going 4 for 6 for the night. So we will be back with that tomorrow, and I was hoping I need to be joined by Kerry Harvey Cutter before he takes off. Pat, I wanted to thank you for joining us as I start basically executive producing while I'm on camera. I apologize for that. Pat, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to take the headset from you, and we'll not slam it to the table, and Kerry is going to come on up because there's there's an era that is ending here, and we need to recognize this. So this one is for you. Appreciate that. Do you have a red eye out of here? Is that a thing?
5:30 a.m. to Charlotte.
Okay, so not quite here. Come on in and join me a little bit. Kerry Harvey Cutter, former director of civic facilities for the city of Salem, director of tourism for the city, now just the guy who runs these championships, and officially, I don't know what the title is anymore.
Still director of tourism.
Oh, okay.
Part-time director of tourism.
How many Division III championships? How many NCAA championships?
This is 87.
87. So when we first came down here, it was not your first by any stretch. No. You guys had hosted a handful of Stag Bowls already and a couple of basketball championships. So it is hard.
And some softball.
And some softball even before we got here in March of '98. It is hard to imagine that this is it. That this is the end. It's not it, obviously, of course. Other championships continue to be played here, but the so-called marquee ones of football and men's basketball expired at the end of this academic year.
They do. I'm heading to Rochester, Minnesota tomorrow morning at 5:30.
To watch Amherst and what sounds like Bowdoin, but I know that game's not over yet.
They're up by a good bit in the end of the third.
It's
bittersweet to be here.
It has to be. When you guys started this, I can't imagine what you thought it would turn into. When you guys went down to bid on the football championship that nobody wanted back in the early 90s, to then turn this into 86 more national championships after that?
This one started out is that we'd put so much luster into D3 football, into the Stag Bowl, that basketball had become sort of second place. And that was part of our pitch, is that we wanted them to have the same experience and same exposure that the D3 football did. Yeah. We actually, the first couple of years, paid to broadcast. We put it up on Fox Sports South.
That's right. I remember some of those. Yeah, absolutely. Butch Estes on color, right?
Butch Estes worked color a couple times.
Don't remember who did play-by-play back in the day, but yeah, back in the standard def, the old 4x3 box, you had to. You could
before streaming.
Right, well before streaming, and before really DirecTV was in X number of million homes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did the first 2 Stag Bowls. If you weren't sold out, they blacked it out in the market.
So you couldn't watch it in Roanoke?
Then they went to ESPN2. You couldn't watch it in 50 miles.
Okay.
And it went, and then we went to ESPN2, and because it was in its infancy, We didn't black anything out. But the 1 year in football that was really interesting is there was a federal rule at one point that you could not televise a live pro game into a market that was broadcasting live a college football game.
Oh, wow.
And it was a Saturday that NBC, for a change, had the Redskins.
Oh,
and so we told them, we can tell you got to black it out. And we got a really good spot schedule that year for nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Things
have changed.
All of those arcane rules are hard to imagine. Tell us a little bit about the cast of thousands that help you guys put this event together this year and in the 22 previous years.
It has been, and it has been a cast of thousands. The host families that work with us. John Saunders, who retired as the director of this facility following me, came back this year as a host for Nebraska Wesleyan.
Yeah.
With Ira Zeff, who'd been here as the committee chair, and his team was here 21 years ago. So John and his family are helping host that. Wendy Delano is now the director of the facility. Paul Bowles has been here every championship. Hank Luton, who's just come on board, he's the number 3 person here at the Civic Center, is an official in ODAC.
All right.
Former high school coach, so he loves the game. Brian Horsley, who does operations to make sure if the baskets aren't level or we have an issue with the floor or anything like that. Tim Coleman, who is the engineer who's been here forever. If we have clock problems, there's a second set of shot clocks over there. There's a second, set of errors for possession. So all those things are held in place. Sam Terry, our food and beverage director, who coordinates the hospitality room for the media, the hospitality room for the VIPs, the schools that have hospitality. It's just, quite amazing. And then the support we've received from some Salem City Council and administration all these years, and the funding. And then Virginia's Blue Ridge, our regional marketing arm that gives us some money and shows up and helps, and a little bit of everything.
One of the things that we always remarked about with both of these 2 major championships was the fact that you guys always seem to find some new wrinkle to add every year, something to add to the fan experience, something to add to the student-athlete experience, something to just elevate the championship. And so many of those things then have gone on to become part of the standard package, that they are done not just here, but at other places that host Division III championships.
We started the mementos for the kids. We gave gym bags from Nike with Coke products and snacks, and for guys' tournaments we gave them razors and toothbrush and toothpaste. For the women's championship we gave them ladies' razors and things they might forget and stuff like that. The host families we've refined to an art form in that certain host families want certain teams. I've had them before, and the group that has Oshkosh this year were reminded that they had 2 Platteville teams that won it. They had Stevens Point that won it.
And that's like 98, 97.
It is. And I mean, they've been doing it a long time. I watched the kids grow up in the family.
Yeah.
They're high school kids now, and they were little kids then. And one thing we're already starting to do, Bethany Danley, who is the director of championships for the conference for ODAC, who's a former women's coach, she is talking to her friends. She'll reach out to the Bowdoin coach, especially to the Amherst coach who's been in it so many times.
Sure.
What's worked well in other places. Yeah. She knows a couple of student athletes because she recruited them at Colby. And so, what did you really like about this place or that place? It's about the kids. It's about the student athletes. And as long as we keep everything focused on them, everything else seems to work out okay.
Yeah, we look forward to continuing to come down to Salem. You guys have the women's championship 2 of the next 4 years, so we're happy about that.
I'll see Gordon up there.
You'll see
tomorrow.
Gordon in Rochester, Minnesota tomorrow.
Yes.
I don't know if you have to get on a red eye tonight or what you have to do to get to Minneapolis. I know that it's not the easiest place to get to from here.
Pat, this is Roanoke, Virginia. There are no red eyes. I mean, come on, guys.
All right.
It's 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. Oh, that's still, to me, that's just a different kind of red eye.
My eyes are going to be red. I may sleep a little bit to Charlotte. But we double hopped. We're going all the way to Rochester.
Okay.
Because after 4 hours sleep for John Shaner and myself, I didn't want to be driving from Minneapolis to Rochester.
That makes sense.
We get there at 2 o'clock.
Hey, US 52 is like really awesome. But
I'm sure you know a lot about it.
You will get a chance to miss that. Carrie, I don't know how else to say. We have, and I'll make sure you get a copy of this because it'll be distributed tomorrow, the back of the NABC All-Star Game program
I saw the draft.
Did you?
Thank you, Salem.
That is, and the draft was unchanged. So literally, like the last sentence on it is.
Save me a copy tomorrow.
Will do. Division III wouldn't be Division III without you, and it really would not be.
And well, thank you. But I will also say, while we're in this lovely part, I've said it before, publicly and privately to you. D3 hoops, D3 football have done more to expose the country to Division III athletics than any group, any organization, any individual person the last, 20 years?
It is 20 years.
Yeah. We're old.
We are old.
I had hair. Yours was dark.
That's right, all of it. That is true. But, Carrie, honestly, in all honesty, I was 25 when I first started coming down here, and you welcomed us in this thing that, a website that was
new stuff, yeah,
that was covering the championship, and you welcomed us, and you made it possible for us to do new things, and encouraged us to do new things, and encouraged us and Dave to do this, and without the encouragement and the backing of the city of Salem, we would not be able to cover Division III, and we would not have grown the way we did.
It's great. We're going to miss seeing you here. No bones about it. We're going to host the women. We're going to have a great championship for the women. But something that's been part of your life for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
At least next year, I'll still have basketball. Mm-hmm. In December, I won't have the football. Yeah. But if everything works right, I want to go see the John Rutter Choral concert in London.
Nice.
The Christmas concert. It's always the weekend of semifinals.
Okay.
And he's my favorite composer. Good Anglican guy.
Yeah, true.
We JV Catholics.
Christmas time is the best time to see John Rutter music.
It is.
We're getting choral geeky here, and I promised not to get choral geeky on the Hoopsville. And Dave is looking at me going, "What are you guys talking about? We're talking about John Rutter choir concerts." That's what
I brought it up.
That's what Carrie's going to get to do next year instead of traveling to a football semifinal.
That is if my wife will let me.
London, I'm sure, is lovely in December.
Oh, yes, but we've got a daughter getting married in October. She may not have any time left.
Okay, or you may not have any money left if you have a daughter getting married.
That's good, but John is not getting younger.
That is true.
Carrie, it's been a great run.
It really has been, likewise, sir.
We've truly enjoyed the friendships. That's the part I'm going to miss, are the people that I've seen throughout the seasons. And we're going to continue to follow D3 hoops. I mean, there's no question. I'm a D3 guy. May look a little bit more at the women than I've been have for a while, but that's fine. They have good basketball.
And you'll still have a tremendous Old Dominion Athletic Conference tournament here.
Which is a great event. Who knows? I may end up coming out to your tournament in Las Vegas.
That would be great. We'd love to have you in Las Vegas.
Have some fun and do that. So
you can see Chuck McBreen. He's there basically every year.
Is he?
Ramapo has been there 6 times in 7 years or something like that.
And it's going to be a great championship here tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love both the ADs.
Okay.
Ira was here 21 years ago, former committee chair. I wish, if Charlie had won, we'd have 2 committee chairs.
Right, and Daryl Sims has been here twice in the last couple of years with football.
Yes.
So, yep.
So we're glad to have you. Pat,
Carrie, thank you so much, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise, man. It'll be weird you not being here tomorrow, but I know you've got to go do your research.
It really will. Unfortunately, Brad Bankston will be tournament director, so I'm expecting the lights to go out and the scoreboard to fail and, all kinds of things.
They'll shoot off the fireworks prematurely. Buzzer beater will send us to overtime with they'll have to
that's why we use the blowers now instead of the fireworks, because at one time they all blew at the same time and somebody popped an eardrum on the top of the stands.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing what you're doing.
We will. We're not done. That's Carrie Harvey Cutter, the director of the championship and director of tourism here for the city of Salem. I am somewhat expecting Dave to come back up and join me. But while we're doing that, I want to first of all thank Dave. He's the executive producer of Hoopsville Courtside. Keaton Coleman is our on-site producer. They've been doing a great job running the computer. It's nice to have someone. We don't have to produce the show while we're on the show, and that is a luxury for this fly-by-night organization that doesn't have a whole lot of money. But again, the final scores here: Nebraska Wesleyan defeats Springfield by the score of 90-78 in overtime, and UW Oshkosh in the first game defeated Ramapo by the score of 73-57. So for Dave McHugh, for Ryan Scott, for our guests, Pat Cunningham and Mike DeWitt, and then for all of the student athletes and coaches who joined us on our pregame coverage for each of those 2 games, thank you so much for joining us here on Hoopsville Courtside, and we'll be back here tomorrow afternoon. Good night, everybody.